Okay, we're good now.
We're Team 7, and we did our volunteer hours at St. Vincent de Paul. So a little bit about history and mission of the place. It was actually founded in April of 23rd in 1933 in Paris, and it went by the Conference of Charity instead of Vincent de Paul. It was created after the Frederick Osman and a few other students of the School of Law in Paris. They're meeting together on a regular basis and trying to do something for their community. And one day they had this other student coming in and asking them what was Catholic Church doing to help out as a charity. A little bit, and they decided to start helping other people in the community, especially the people in need. So actually, that's when they created the Society of the St. Vincent de Paul, and it was in 1945. So it was a few years later than original start. The society made its way, and actually first branch was in Missouri. Slowly kind of spread throughout the country, and in Des Moines right now we actually have 2 locations of it. So the founder of it here, Father John Timon, he actually brought the rule of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul from Dublin, Ireland. That way the branch in Missouri could follow the exact guidelines of the society throughout the country, basically. For the mission of the St. Vince de Paul, according to their website, it is to be a network of friends inspired by gospel values, growing in holiness, and building a more just world through a personal relationship with serve to people in need. There's a lot of volunteers that work there, um, and even the staff, employed staff, all share a goal of achieving holiness by means of doing their best to help the poor and the needy. They're helping them spiritually, physically, mentally, and emotionally through acts of charity. And by serving the poor and seeking personal holiness and happiness, they hope to impact and inspire the poor to continue the same for others, as well as spread this common goal of the society. So it's not just a charity like trying to help, but they also want to spread the spirituality as well.
Okay. Is that all you have for the history? Okay. And then about the social issues.
Right.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. St. Vincent to help individuals grow and be the best versions of themselves by providing face-to-face services and really connecting with people in person. They not only want to help an individual through one tough time, but make a positive impact on their life, and so they can take it on and learn from their situation and kind of just make their whole life better for them and their family. St. Vincent does this through many social services like the food pantry, providing clothing, financial assistance, furniture. They have a young parent initiative, and they are trying to address the social issue of poverty. And the food pantry is one way they can do that. And they just make boxes of food and we hand them out to the community. And we actually did that a lot with our project. And they also provide clothing and furniture to those in need. And they have a thrift store, which you can buy low price items for sale, or even like household items. And I know they had like a really big Christmas section when we've been there. So that was really nice. People can still celebrate the holidays in an affordable way if they'd like to. And then they also have this thing where if families have fallen behind on utilities and bills, they'll pay up to $700 to help them get out of that hole. So then maybe next month they can make their bills or have money for food or clothing, so they don't have to worry about that. And then the Young Parent Initiative is just a program that helps parents learn how to be like a good parent, like if they've never done it before, or if they don't have the means or need help. They'll even give them items like cribs or car seats, and then they also will help teach them how to put in the car seats and be safe, because that's really important, so they can give the best for their child. And that's what I have for the social issues.
So the nature and contribution that we did, so really just to serve and gain knowledge of our own community that we're all in, regardless of, you know, if we're from here locally or if we're coming here for school. It's kind of a good way to kind of understand what's going on in our community and what the demographics are and the people in need. So us helping out in the food pantry and helping out at the thrift store, I think we all kind of did a little mixture of that. So basically a lot of things that we did was a lot of stocking and organizing, and then like you said, Alex, making those boxes and of food for people to take. I did see a lot of times at the thrift store that they would have bread come, which it's always pretty busy in the thrift store, but once the bread came, it was obvious that that was something that people were heavily depending on. So that was nice to see that they had somewhere to go to get that. And then, so part of what I did, and I think you guys did as well, is just trying to keep the store as organized as possible. So they get a lot of donations, like you said, and trying to find space for all of them is sometimes a bit of a hassle. And then, of course, while the staff is, you know, going through donations and stuff, it's hard to keep things organized. So I think it's very beneficial to have volunteers that can come in and just take a little bit of time to tidy up the store, make it look more organized. I would have a lot of people notice me doing this, and they would come and ask me questions. So as I got more comfortable, I was able to answer some of those questions, or, you know, kind of lead them in the right direction. So I felt like it was a good way to kind of get more involved in the community and just be able to take a little bit of the burden off of the staff, that, you know, they can go and put their resources to other things than having to tidy up, which is a constant thing. So I think being able to come in and volunteer and just do that little part makes a huge difference to them. And it was a continuous thank you from all the staff that I met. Everybody was very grateful for us to be there. That's what I have for nature and contribution.
So kind of like a synopsis and wrapping up what we did as a group. I would say that it was a great experience for all of us. When we talk through our group text messages, we just always had positive things to say, and we were really able to immerse ourselves into our community and see what those around us were experiencing firsthand, because we can talk about it and say, well, these people need help, and we can see the people on the side, like by the 235, like we were talking about in one of our other meetings, but to see it firsthand and work with them was a whole different experience. And I think it was really good to do that for all of us. And so, like I mentioned earlier, we were able to work in the food pantry and in the thrift store. Those were the two basic places that we were. And both tasks required us to engage with the individuals that were utilizing them. And that helped us kind of create relationships with other members of the community and show that we are there to help, and even show the volunteers, like, we want to step up, we want to do what's best and help those in need. We already kind of talked about this, but we'd prepare boxes in the food pantry and even help them bring them down to the car for the people, which I think was just kind of a nice gesture too, because they're heavy boxes and it's a lot of food, and just a kind gesture. They also had a free rack of bread in the hallway, and so anyone could just come and take like a bag or a loaf of bread if they need it, which was really nice. And I even have a picture of that in the PowerPoint. And the thrift store was basically the backbone of the organization. They wouldn't earn enough funds without the thrift store. That's kind of what helped run all their programs and education and be able to get all those cool services for people. So that was like a big thing that we could do to help. We'd help keep the thrift store clean and organized, sort through donations, kind of do any odd jobs that they asked us to do. They always needed help. I didn't find one time going in that they didn't need us. So that was kind of nice to be merged in. Overall, I'd say the project went well because we could put ourselves in someone else's shoes and see how they live, because we may not be able to firsthand experience that in our own lives. So it's kind of nice to see what we can do to help. We were able to contribute to the community and provide help to those around us. We've all learned what it means to be a servant leader and take our experience with the service learning project further, and we can continue to do this in the community and maybe even help out later with St. Vincent de Paul.
So the analysis and assessment of our project outcomes. We did accomplish the objectives we set out to attain in our proposal form. We did this by having an open dialogue with each other of our personal experiences while volunteering. We were able to ask many questions and have a clear understanding of the mission St. Vincent is trying to achieve, which is promoting self-sufficiency and helping the community. We got to see the different cultural backgrounds, populations, and services that they have to offer. We also had personal conversations with some of the hardships people went through that led them to St. Vincent, such as job loss, drug addiction, and mental illness. Our experiences connected the key concepts of servant leadership by becoming aware of our surroundings, such as the needs of our local communities, and also not just saying no to any of the tasks being asked us to complete, such as cleaning, stocking, and organizing. We were able to serve and have a complete understanding of why it's so important to volunteer. The Mercy core values were knowledge. We were educated about the organization and the community it serves, along with the populations that they serve. Reverence. We had respect for the organization's mission and the community. Integrity. We were being honest as a volunteer of how much we can handle as being students. Compassion. We understood the hardships that one might have to face that would lead them to St. Vincent, and how St. Vincent helps with self-sufficiency. Excellence. We would always give our best effort onto the tasks we were working on, such as stocking of food, clothes, and social work. So possible directions for future work. Given more time and more resources, the direction of the project would have been to acquire sponsors from local communities. The sponsors would create their own donations for clothes, books, and personal care items. We would also have a fundraiser that would lead to a separate daycare room with daycare workers. The daycare would be open for regular business hours. For future prospect students, they should be aware of the community needs. They shouldn't shy away from tasks that one wouldn't normally do. Also, they should ask a lot of questions and really understand the mission of St. Vincent de Paul.
So now we could each kind of just talk about our own experiences and what we took away from it. So one thing that I enjoyed was just being able to be immersed into the community and see firsthand what the needs are. Like I kind of mentioned, we can always talk about, well, we think the community needs, I don't know, more clothing, but when you're there, you can really see like, oh, maybe we need to focus on like a bigger food pantry if that's like the need more so in the community right now, or like with winter coming up, giving out like hats, gloves. I know one person needed like a tent because they didn't have somewhere to stay. So that was something that we could keep in mind. The staff, volunteers, and members of the community utilizing the services, they're all thankful. It made us feel like we're making a difference. Like I heard the word thank you so many times, like Jamie mentioned, like they're just really glad that we're there and wanting to step up. And they even told me that they love Mercy Volunteers the best because we're just there to go in and work and just help any way we can and don't say no to any task. I learned how these organizations stand on their own while helping people. Like I didn't understand how they could provide all these services, like the education and stuff like that, until we were kind of in doing our own volunteering. So like I said, the thrift shop, they make all the money for the education. They're like the backbone of the organization, but they all get a lot of donations for like food, clothing. We were unloading trucks of food for the food pantry that like Sam's Club Walmart, Hy-Vee. They were just donating, especially after Thanksgiving. They had a lot left over, so they just wanted to give back to the community. I thought that was pretty cool. And I'm also feeling more comfortable about being a servant leader and what it means to serve others, which will help me even pass this course. And I think that was really important because I've volunteered here and there for high school and at Iowa State with my other degree, but not in this kind of environment, like on 6th Avenue. I don't know, just the people and the need of the community is different. And it was really nice to be immersed in that and really see firsthand what people need.
So for my experience, St. Vincent de Paul had really opened my eyes to see how much an organization is willing to do and what an organization can do given the resources and the amount of volunteers and the funding and just all the donations that they receive, because they do provide a lot of services that typical organizations don't really, some organizations only have a thrift store. I enjoyed hearing the success stories just because it reassured that what the organization was doing was it was successful in serving their community and getting local people off their feet and striving for that self-sufficiency goal and becoming active members in society again. I became more of my community needs. One thing was, I guess I never realized that like during winter time, the shortage of gloves, hats, and shoes is a must. And they don't really find that many donations when it comes to those things during the winter time. So it opened my eyes about that. It helped me understand the process of an organization and such that they really do thrive on like volunteers, and volunteering is very, very important for them. It improved my ability to be a better servant leader, such as being aware of what the community needs are and how you're helping, and also knowledge, just being knowledgeable of the history of the mission of the organization and how volunteers can make a change and do make a change.
So for my experience, I definitely learned how important it is to have the volunteers, especially to help keep the store clean and organized, because they are constantly getting donations and there is a constant need. So just the influx of stuff that they're getting, just to be able to sort through that and get it out so people can purchase it, and then just pricing everything and deciding what can and cannot be sold. It's important that things keep going and stay organized. So I felt like that was something that kind of opened my eyes to how big of an effort it takes to make that happen. And then one of my personal experiences that I thought was really nice and kind of opened my eyes a little bit more about how wide the demographic is for our community. There was a gentleman that came in that wanted to purchase a large vanity. So it was something that was going to have to be delivered to his house. However, he didn't speak English. He only spoke French, and nobody there spoke French. I don't speak French either, but I was able to use Google Translate to be able to communicate with him, so that he could communicate with the cashier, so that they could kind of figure out what they needed to do to get it delivered. And then also any questions and pricing and everything. So it was kind of nice to be able to see that there was a situation and be able to use critical thinking to figure out like how can we make this happen, because it was obviously a bit frustrating on both sides since there was that language barrier. So I really enjoyed being able to kind of step in and have a solution for them so that they could communicate, and then both sides got what they needed. And then just really grateful for the opportunity. Like we've all said, everybody was super thankful that we were there. It definitely made me feel, and I'm sure it made you guys feel too, like, it mattered that we were there and what we were doing was serving a purpose. And I feel like volunteering has just given me more confidence and a new perspective on those in need for my community. And I do definitely plan to take this experience with me.
My experience was that it was really great experience, eye-opening experience as well. Like you guys covered already for the most part. I think the thing that stood out for me the most was the fact that there were so many people were willing to volunteer their hours every day. I don't know how many, some of them 3-4 days a week, some of them every day. I mean, these people volunteer. This was like their job, constantly. They were coming and volunteer and help out. And this is a very selfless act, I think, because I feel like life gets so busy and you kind of sometimes lose track of things. But these people are so committed to it, and that just amazed me. Another thing, again, like I think this experience taught me the true meaning of servant leadership. With every visit that I had there, when I got to interact with the clients, they came in with the appointment. I was usually there during the hours where they like the food pantry. I helped unloaded the truck, put the things away, and then their people would come in, but they made so they would talk a little bit more and they'd talk about their story, not story per se, but their family situation and things like that. And it was just really interesting to see kind of a that demographic. And like you guys said, it wasn't just food. It was there's so many more things that they could take. I didn't really spend any time in the thrift store, but upstairs by the food pantry, and I put one of the pictures in the PowerPoint too, where they had a bunch of clothes in there. And another amazing thing was that when you donate your clothing or any kind of items, you can specify, do you want it to be put in the store or do you want to put in the free area? So there was a lot of, I helped like sizing some of the clothing and things like that, but there was a lot of good clothing and some like suits for men and women for like interviews and things like that, some shoes, and all for free. And they said they I'm not exactly sure how often, but they would like rotate those clothing items. So you don't have like the same stuff sitting there. So people have like some choices to come pick from. So that it just kind of really opened my eyes, and you guys mentioned the same thing. It just, you don't understand how much your community needs until you're kind of in that situation there and see what's going on. It's eye-opening, and they do an amazing job to serve the community for sure.
And they did a lot more than I ever expected them to. Like you said, so much more than just a thrift shop.
Yeah.
Does anyone have anything else they need to say?
I think we covered it.
And